Previously on the all-new adventures of the Doctor Who Book Club podcast.
So the randomizer's still engaged.
Right.
I'm going to stick with companion spin-offs, and we're going to venture into yet another book range for the first time.
Ah, okay.
So for February,
yeah,
we're going to be doing another double feature.
Oh, I think I know what it is.
A pair of Target books.
Yeah.
Let's travel back in time to 1986.
Yeah.
And read The Companions of Doctor Who.
Yay.
Turlough and the Earthlink Dilemma. And Harry Sullivan's War.
Yay.
And now our story continues.
Welcome, everyone, to the all-new Adventures of the Doctor Who Book Club podcast. This is Matt in Minnesota.
Chris in South London. How's it going?
Well, the world might be coming apart at the seams, but there's still Doctor Who in our lives, so that's good.
Yes, a welcome respite, I think, from the scary things happening on the telly.
And as we record this, we've seen the first half of the new series of Doctor Who up through The Revenge of the
Fugitive.
Oh, sorry, that's right.
Yes, yeah.
Up through Fugitive of the Jadoon.
Maybe it was Revenge in America.
Revenge is Terrence Dick's book about the Jadoon that I was thinking of.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
So what have you been thinking of the new series so far?
Where was this last year? Or last season? This is very good. I'm enjoying this. I even enjoyed Orphan 55 that seems to have got a bit of flack online. Yeah, I must say this is very much the kind of Doctor Who that I was wanting. I mean, the sort of Doctor Who whereby like we're having to do planning for like next week. We are busy doing something on the Sunday night. And so I'm already strategizing about how I can actually manage, because we're going to be staying in a hotel. What's the etiquette? Yeah, a hotel with, as far as I'm aware, no other Doctor Who fans. But do I watch it in the room? Do we just bring in headphones so we don't accidentally spoil someone that might overhear? Which means I'm gripped. And I'm wanting to keep people sort of like spoiler free. And yeah, it's very good. I've got no idea where we're going with the revelations regarding from Fugitive to Jadoon.
For sure, yeah.
So what do you reckon?
I've really been enjoying it as well. I thought Orphan 55 was maybe a little shaky in parts, both in its presentation of alternate futures, and then it had some clunky issues with the production and the script, but I really admire its ambition and how it felt like an homage kind of to the 80s era, some of the later Colin Baker and Peter Davison stories.
And a bit of McCoy in there as well. There was a little hint of season 24 and stuff, I think, possibly. Particularly with your woman that looked like she was out of Spaceballs.
Yeah. And the opening two-parter was great, and as was the Tesla episode, and I really like how they're continuing to use the historicals to shed light on different corners of history and really take on that educational remit that has really been missing, I think, since the Hartnell era. And
yeah, I
would really challenge the team to do a pure historical. I think they could pull it off.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they could in other eras, but something like that I think would be really cool. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it and definitely along for the ride with this season.
Yeah. Also, I'd say that we are a lot less overtly preachy, with the exception of the end of Orphan 55. However, yeah, given that my partner's home country has spent most of this year on fire so far, we're kind of going, yeah, go on with the environmental message, because people haven't been listening. So if you do have to just ground a narrative to a halt and just spell it out, by all means do so. So we applauded that. I know that there are some people that didn't care for it, but
I think my biggest criticism is probably just some of the inconsistencies between the different episodes. Like the thing that sticks out to me is why Tesla and Edison don't get mind wiped, but
Yes.
Ada Lovelace and is it Nora, the World War II
Yeah.
era?
Yeah.
Why they had to get mind wiped, but not Edison or Tesla. But apart from that, very much enjoying it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess Ada saw her future, but yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's a bit. Yeah, I must say that did kind of stick with me. I was just like, yeah, we need to have thought this one through, folks. But yeah.
But yeah, other than that, really liking it.
Yeah, it's just so good. And see what on earth kind of explanation we have in Doctor Who. So what's going on?
Yeah, I was gonna say because all the explanations, there's something slightly wrong with them. It's like she doesn't really fit in as a season 6B. She could be a pre-Hartnell Doctor. She could be an alternate universe Doctor. All of the above. It's hard to say.
Yeah, I think she's alternate universe, though Chibnall has expressly said that she isn't. But that's what I think.
She could be a future Doctor like the Curator too.
With her mind wipes.
Yeah.
Yeah, possibly. I do like the idea of her being 6B.
Or 6C.
Yeah, well, yes, possibly. But also, though, how come... I mean, yeah, the mind-wiping thing still doesn't quite explain why Clara didn't see.
And it also doesn't explain they have every incarnation accounted for unless she's part of a previous cycle. Because Matt Smith gets pretty detailed, like, I'm the third... In Time of the Doctor, he has this little speech where Moffat outlines, here's all the Doctors, and here's where they fit in.
Yes. Yeah.
With the pre-Hartnell thing, too, you have the question about Hartnell wondering why it's stuck in the shape of a police box in An Unearthly Child, too, and that it didn't change.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to shoehorn in any of them. Or Season 6B or C, she doesn't recognize the Sonic at all.
Yeah.
Which the second had in Fury from the Deep, so it's hard to say.
Yeah.
But I'm anxious to find out.
Well, as long as she's not a clone or some kind of trap, I think that would be a bad thing. I mean, I know they've said she is definitely the Doctor, but this has caused so much excitement that it would be a really bad thing for her to not be a Doctor.
A genuine,
yeah. Though I must say, the first 4 minutes of that episode were terrible. I watched it again today. Those scenes in Gloucester before the Jadoon rock up, for me, felt like very bad children's television.
Oh.
She's being all chummy with Lee, and then she goes along, she's trying to convince people to go on her guides, and she seems to encounter every single person in Gloucester walking along that canal.
All ears Alan, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't believe in any of these people. It turns out 2 of them were fake, but that really put me on to the point that as it cut away to the Jadoon, I turned to Laura and I said, I think this is probably going to be the stinker of the season. I was wrong, but I think only just because of the various shocks and twists. I think if it had been just a normal, regular story, I don't think people wouldn't be talking about it. But hey ho.
Well, hopefully we'll find out, or it could be the resolution doesn't happen until later this season or even next season too. So hard to say.
I think next season. Yeah, I'm not sure how much more we're going to find out this season. Either that or the finale is going to be absolutely packed full of stuff. But
yeah, we're already halfway through.
Yeah, indeed.
And shout out to the little vapor screen in the TARDIS. That's really cool. That's all a practical in-house effect. So anytime you see something on that, it's not put in via post later. That looks amazing.
Yeah. Cool.
So shall we move on? We've got a busy episode.
We do.
A busy episode.
We've got
Jam-packed
2
episode.
books. 2 books, folks.
2 books this month. We're reading the Companions of Doctor Who, Turlough and the Earthlink Dilemma, and Harry Sullivan's War. But before we get to that, we've got some book news that has come out recently. At Childhood's End has now been released, and there are copies appearing in the wild. And it looks like that book was co-written by Mike Tucker, who worked with Sophie Aldred on her book Ace, the Inside Story of the End of an Era for Virgin, and then Steve Cole, a.k.a. Tara Sams. So she got a bit of an assist there, but early reviews have been very positive for that book. Other book news coming out, we have a sequel to The Secret of Vault 13 coming out in mid-May. It's called Doctor Who: The Mazes of Doom by David Solomons. And then there is also going to be a new kids book in the Pop Classics line called The Runaway TARDIS, illustrated by Kim Smith. And then the 30th Panini graphic novel reprint, which we've mentioned a couple of times, now has a title, and it's called Mistress of Chaos. And that'll be the first compilation of DWM strips featuring the 13th Doctor. And that's set to come out on July 5th this summer. And then last month we already talked about the new Target releases coming out, and then later this fall it looks like there are going to be 2 new oversized books coming, a Doctor Who Monster Vault book and a Doctor Who Atlas.
Right. Is that Atlas of Earth or of various...
It's hard to say. I'm hoping that it contains star maps, because I really like the Star Trek books that have those included, where you can kind of see, like, this is how large the Klingon Empire is, or whatever. So it'd be cool to see that in Doctor Who.
Okay.
And then also last month was Console Room, so just wanted to share a couple of tidbits from that. So that was the 7th Console Room, and it was a lot of fun. It's the only remaining regional convention in the States that started up during the 50th anniversary year that's still going.
Wow.
In its original form. So,
it's not that long.
Yeah. So, like, Long Island Who, Hurricane Who, Who Fest in Texas, they've all fallen by the wayside. Console Room will be returning in January 2021 for its 8th year. This year there was a blizzard during the weekend, so attendance was a little lower than expected, but the weather didn't keep everyone away, and it was appropriately Ice Warrior-like, given that one of our guests was Richard Ashton, who played Friday the Ice Warrior in Empress of Mars. And I'm very glad the convention switched to offering long-sleeve commemorative shirts instead of short-sleeve ones. It's much better for the climate.
You kind of have to, don't you, if you do it in January?
Yeah. So that's good that the light bulb finally went off.
Yes. Yeah.
And then the other guests, of course, Robert Smith, Andrew Blumberg, and John Leeson and the Seva team again. I was on a couple of panels talking about the books, and it was great to connect with both Robert and Arnold. And on the nonfiction book panel, I kept pulling out different nonfiction books from a bag I brought, and it was amazing just how many of them Arnold had worked on in some capacity or another, many with David J. Howe, doing some design work and stuff. So that was cool. And then I was also on a fun Doctor Who collectibles panel with Bill Evenson and Jeff Elston, both of whom had done dramatic readings for us in the past. So that was a good convention. There was also a panel I was on covering new series companions that was a lot of fun. We came up with a companion categorization scale.
Yeah.
Hard to get that out, but where we divided companions into 5 different categories. So your Category 1 companions would be like your primary companions, like Jo Grant, Sarah Jane Smith, Rose, Amy, Ace. Category 2 would be secondary companions or companions, so like Harry Sullivan, Mickey, Rory Series 5.
Yeah.
Category 3 would be your friend or support companions like Jackie, Wilf, the Brigadier, Osgood, Kate Lethbridge Stewart, Craig Owens. Your Category 4 would be your cybernetic or robotic valets. So like...
Oh, valet! Is Chameleon a valet?
K9 handles Nardole,
Yeah.
Antimony, the Shalka Master.
Yeah.
And then we decided that we needed a Category 0 for those companions who've achieved near Doctor-like status with access to time and space travel or immortality. So like Captain Jack Harkness, River Song, Clara, and Bill.
Okay, cool.
So those are our 5 our 5 categories.
So where does Chameleon fall under the valet?
Yeah, I would say Category 4.
Yeah, okay.
More the cybernetic robotic as opposed to driving the TARDIS around. But he does kind of stick with the ship quite a bit.
Yes, due to budget. Yeah, cool.
So yeah, overall great convention and looking forward to next year. So I think that brings us to show and tell.
Yeah. Do you want to go first?
Sure.
That sounds good. I was just reaching over and grabbing my show and tell item so that I have that to hand. Yes.
A physical item
this time. A physical item. Yes. Yeah, which is a rarity for me.
So this month I want to talk about the first ever Doctor Who book ever published that was an original fiction story. So this is Doctor Who and the Invasion from Space. And this was a 46-page hardcover published back in 1966 by World Distributors. So the same format that the annuals were published in, and 20 years prior to the Companions of Doctor Who book that we're reading about. and it's technically the first original solo piece of Doctor Who fiction outside of the annuals. And it's a first Doctor tale with the well-known TARDIS team of George, Helen, Alan, and Ida.
Right.
Which are a family of pig farmers that the Doctor picked up as they were burning in their pigsty, and
Lovely
he
story.
rescues them. So I'm thinking that's like at the tail end of some sort of multi-Doctor story involving the Great Fire of London, where the Doctor's involved in some sort of pterodactyl cleanup or something that we, maybe a Big Finish will slot in there somewhere. But anyways,
Maybe,
this
yeah.
Mortimer family are convinced that the Doctor is an emissary of Satan, possibly come to conduct them to hell. Kids book, by the way. And of course, then they land on a spaceship driven by a supercomputer called the One, and carrying survivors, later revealed to be androids, from the galaxy Andromeda. And they're planning an invasion of the Milky Way. And there's a lot of mix-ups with the term galaxy and planet. So
What? How do you mix those two up?
yeah, I don't know. It was written by Joseph Lawrence Morrissey,
Right.
who was born in Liverpool in 1905 and died in 1981.
Oh, bless him.
And he published a number of sci-fi books in the early 60s under a few different pseudonyms, but he was kind of the world distributor, in-house writer.
Right.
But last year, it was adapted to audio by Peter Purves. So that came out in October 2018, and he reads another longer short story to round out that release called 10 Fathom Pirates, which is from the 1967 annual. So just to kind of preempt anyone who might say, well, actually, Turlough wasn't the first novel. I figured,
No.
I didn't read the book. I listened to the audio adaptation, but
Okay.
it's pretty trippy, so... That's my show and tell.
Yeah, I'll need to check that one out. Right. So my show and tell is Doctor Who Story Cubes, which is a thing that I think, looking at some of the illustrations, I think this was published in the Matt Smith era. You have dice with various different characters on. You roll your dice, and from that you can create a story. So story elements include capture, cult member, river song, Davros, run. So it's all a bit random. Stonehenge, an image of somebody thinking, and the brigadier, and samurai helmets, and an adipose. And this is just a small smattering of these random things. And they say that the master doesn't necessarily need to be the master. The master could be an evil mastermind or a crazed scientist. It also says the Dalek might be a robot servant or not. And the Laurel Reef icon could be a crown worn by a Roman or a galactic emperor, or it might be a reef for the dead or a road for heroism. It does say you won't find a doctor or companion icon on the set because it's assumed they'll appear in the story. Well, as we're going to find out, you don't need to have
Not necessarily.
No.
Wow. So it's kind of like Mad Libs, but it sounds like a lot more random and...
Yeah. I must say I've not used them yet. So
I say go ahead and give them a roll. See what they...
Oh, you have to roll all 9 of them. So,
Okay.
Right, I'm just going to roll a subset of them. Right, sorry, I got overzealous and I hit the mic. Okay, and let's roll those gently. Okay, so we have an adipose, the master, Stonehenge, a guillotine, a samurai, what appears to be a blank page, and somebody who's been hypnotised, a sonic screwdriver, and also the silence.
I was going to say, it sounds like a Moffat story.
Yes, it does, doesn't it? It does. Oh, sorry, the blank page is psychic paper.
Okay.
And the master is Roger Delgado, or at least that's the depiction that they've gone for. Yeah, but then again, it could possibly be Chibnall, given how Chibnall seems to. Oh yeah, we'll bring in stuff from RTD back. Yes,
We'll have to look at any behind-the-scenes videos for the writer's room to see if the story cubes are in the corner somewhere.
because that might explain the future of the Jadoon.
Yes.
We don't have Captain Jack amongst the icons. We do have Regenerate, though, as one of the story icons. Maybe this is how we're going to have Jodie's regeneration story, or Dr. Ruth.
Or anyone, could be
or the Master.
I was going to say or the General regenerating, or
yes.
I was saying, is it Gaz or Gat?
Gat or Gat, yeah.
Doesn't seem like she's going to be regenerating, but
well, yes, but maybe she was teleported somewhere or something. I don't know. Yeah, I suspect we probably have seen the last of her. I heard a theory today. Oh, she could be the Rani. I thought maybe. Yeah.
Every woman Time Lord doesn't have to be the Rani too.
No. Yeah. So.
There are other, but yeah, very cool.
Yeah, it does say, try drawing your own 9-panel comic strip or writing an action-packed episode script. I think you'd be hard-pushed to have all of these elements in a 9-panel comic strip.
I was going to say, a Big Finish audio, on the other hand.
Yes, yeah, I think so.
All the elements and 9 more cubes while you're at it.
Yes. Right. Okay. Right. Well, bear with me whilst I put those away.
So this month we are reviewing 2 of the 3 books in the Companions of Doctor Who. We should mention it was a 3-book trilogy consisting of the 2 novels we're reviewing today, as well as an adaptation of Canine and Company by Terence Dudley. By 1986, BBC Enterprises was willing to let Target tell a few of its own stories, but not with the Doctor as the central character. And The Companions of Doctor Who was an imprint of Target books with the remit to focus on adventures of the Doctor's companions after they had stopped traveling with him. And the imprint only lasted a year and was cancelled after these 3 books were published, although it was hinted that some future books were planned. So I kind of wonder what a Tegan or a Liz Shaw or a Joe Grant book would have been like, in this range. Would it be like Tegan's Terror at 10,000 Feet? Or Nap Time with Nissa and Other Bedtime Stories? But we're kind of getting another companion chronicle this month with Sophie's book.
Yeah, we are, I guess.
In a way.
Yeah, so that does seem to feature the Doctor. Well, and Ian Marter was apparently thinking of and starting to work on a sequel to Harry Sullivan's War when he untimely passed away. So
let's start with the first book. I think we're going to start with Turlough and the Earthlink Dilemma. Which was published in May of 1986, and it's written by Tony Attwood.
Yeah.
And I didn't find a whole lot about him except that he's written a couple of Blake Seven related works, The Program Guide and a book called Afterlife.
Yeah, so I've managed to find a little bit more stuff about him. So this is with a bit of a caveat, as this information is coming to you from Goodreads. So this might be another Tony Attwood. He moved into music education writing with Oxford University Press and with books studying pop and rock music as a serious topic. Then he was doing some more educational work. And he also became a copywriter for a number of national companies, and that's where he's been focusing his time, and as well as doing books about Arsenal, as in the football club. So making the Arsenal, and he's also he's a contributor to Highbury High, which is an Arsenal player database on Arsenal.com, and the Arsenal History Project for Asia. Make of all of those facts what you will. But yes, he has not done a lot more in science fiction, it would appear.
And we mentioned last month, the cover depicts a Imperial Star Destroyer entering Starfleet's space dock.
Yes.
Which is interesting.
And it gives you a sense as to how accurate this is going to be to Doctor Who lore.
Yeah. And there are 13 titled chapters with an introduction by Mark Strickson and a little illustration of Turlough's tie, which he signed his name with there.
Yes. Shall we actually say something about the introduction by Mark Strickson?
Oh, sure.
Because Mark Strickson was talking in very loving terms about the book, but also it must be kind of cool having a book written about your character. And he says, you may have noticed, this is talking about Turlough's TV time, that Turlough spent a great deal of time kept captive in various states of bondage.
As did Matthew Waterhouse before him.
Yes. I'm not sure I would use that exact word to describe it, but hey-ho. And he says, here Turlough arrives for the first time with 3 dimensions, warmth, depth, and a sense of humour.
I don't know if all 3 of those came through in the narrative.
No, and also, so Mark Strickson, before I read this bit, you have to remember, Mark Strickson, when he's writing this, he's like 24, 25, maybe? And he describes himself as one who lives without answer phone, video machine, or computer, and whose only concessions to modern gadgetry are an ancient black and white television and a food mixer. Oh, bless him.
Well, I know he's gone on to have quite a career with producing and directing nature documentaries.
Yeah,
so.
and he brought you Steve Irwin. He's one of the guys who discovered Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So, which the resident Australian in my household is quite furious about, because she would like the perception of Australians to move away from crocodile folk.
Well, so we have Mark Strickson to thank for...
Yes, we do.
Oh.
Anyway, shall we get on with the narrative, because we've got a lot to get through.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So following the events of Planet of Fire, Turlough has returned to his homeworld Tryon after a successful counter-revolution has overthrown the insane dictator Rektat.
Now, Rektat, do you think that's an anagram of anybody?
A woman who ruled for 7 years with an iron fist.
More than 7, mate. More than 7.
Well, 7 in the book.
Yes,
I think.
yes, yeah, indeed. So, yes, Thatcher. And it's a recurring theme in this book of slightly bizarre, well, not even anagrams, it's just putting places and figures in reverse.
Yeah.
And you go, really? Okay.
Yeah, that seems to be a theme of this book. So Turlough was an Imperial Klansman, which is a title on his planet. Sounds a bit like a KKK title.
Yes, it does a bit. So basically, he's a kind of aristocrat. That's how I took it.
Yeah, and he openly protested Rektat's rule and went into exile rather than work for her. And a number of fellow people in his clan were either killed or also exiled. Turlough's been welcomed back to Tryon, and his career is now full of promise. However, he has somewhat bewildered his supporters, particularly his former friend Juris Mate, maybe?
Yeah,
Mate,
we'll go with that.
because he's been ignoring his political responsibilities, and instead he's been taking in various archaeological sites, investigating the history of several different species that have lived on Tryon before his species did, including the Lama, which is an intelligent species, which is one of the intelligent species. The planet was occupied by 5 different alien races over the past 240,000 years. And then he's visiting this vast chasm, like canyon. It's almost like a bottomless pit, known as the Giant's Drop. And then he also visits a mobile castle.
That's its name, yes. Yeah, the mobile castle. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
And then the Slots Ruin, which is an artifact protected by a force barrier. And there's this island called Slotisland, where these creatures called the Slots, which I don't know how it does. I kind of got the impression they were somewhat crustacean-like, even though they were like on 2 feet, like sort of. These slots tend to keep to themselves. And while Turlough's visiting this island, he only sees a single slot there. And then Juris, this woman that he knew growing up, and you kind of get the sense that there's some sort of romantic tension there, at least on her end, and it doesn't seem like it's really reciprocated by Turlough all that much. He seems vaguely annoyed with her throughout the entire...
Despite what Mark Strickson believes. Maybe Mark Strickson read an early draft.
Or maybe just the first chapter. So Juris confronts Turlough and...
But also, should we have a reading? We've got a reading round about this period, haven't we? Where we're encountering Juris Mate.
Oh, that's right. And we have a very special guest doing the reading as well. So longtime listeners to the podcast, it should be a somewhat familiar voice. So shall we...
Yeah, let's have a listen.
Here we go.
Turlough! It was a young woman. Long dark hair, very pretty, probably about the same age, with none of the intenseness around the face, yet certainly sharing with the man in terms of bearing and style. However, she combined with that the open, friendly look that was more typical of natives of the home planet. The man looked up and clearly recognized the girl, but gave little sign of being glad to see her. Instead, he took a path away from her, forcing the woman to run across the grass to intercept him before he entered the nearby cornfield. As she reached him, she began to speak. Stray as she might, the conversation was lost to the guide, but it caused her no concern. The man was Turlough. That was enough. Knowing that one fact, she would now have the attention of every friend, half-friend, and acquaintance for the next month with the story. That feeling that she was at last to be a celebrity in her own little circle, if only by passing association, put all thoughts of the motives of the man out of her head. She had shown the famous Vizsla Turlough round the ruins of Charlottenlund. To the woman who had called Turlough's name, however, a passing meeting was far from enough. Finding him unwilling to stop and talk, she was forced to put her questions whilst trying to keep up with a very fit young man intent on marching at full speed. "During the past week," she called, grasping for breath, "you have visited over half the museums of alien life on the planet." As he kept walking, she grabbed his arm and finally slowed the man down. "What are you going to do now?" "If you must know," he replied angrily, turning to face her, "I shall be visiting the Museum of Natural History at Eifnesen if you allow me to get there before closing time, and tomorrow I shall be on the Njordar Nurthis shuttle to Fjorda Base to examine the ruins there. Now if you will let me to continue—" He pulled his hand free and pushed forward, but the girl would not be put off. "Turlough," she called again, "let me ask one question." Something in the woman's voice made him relent. He stopped and turned, looking her straight in the face. They had reached a clearing where the crop gave way to gravel in a no-man's land between agriculture and industry, between food growing and food processing. "One question," he said. The woman's response was simple. "Why?" He gave no reply, and turned as if to continue walking, but she was not to be put off. "Turlough, you are an established citizen. Very few clansmen survived exile. Hardly anyone escaped. When you came back, we all thought you were returning to rule, to lead, to help. But all you've done since you've been back is traipse around the ruins alongside packs of schoolchildren and tourists with not enough imagination to find anything better to do." For a moment it looked as if Turlough was going to offer an explanation, but it passed, and he remained silent. "Turlough, do you know who I am?" "You are Yaras Mate." "Is that all?" "What do you mean?" He seemed genuinely perplexed. "Before you were forced to leave by Recta, you promised you'd return." "And I did." "But you promised you would return to me."
Well, thank you very much, Eric, for reading that.
Yeah, great pleasure, I have to say. So Eric Sadler. You can catch Eric's work on The Writer Room and The Real McCoy. And you can also follow him on Twitter on, I think it's SJ Austenite. So fantastic stuff. And also as well, he's the closed, was it the Horrorcast? The thing that he did with Kyle and Sean. Yeah, it's although to have him on our version of the show.
Podcast royalty. Thank you so much, Eric.
Thank you so much. I will stop waffling.
So Juras confronts Turlough, and he claims to have found evidence linking the new regime's allies, which are called the mysterious Guardstormer, linking them to the dictatorship of Rektat, and that the Guardstormer, as well as visiting Trion, have also visited two other planets, one called New Trion and another called Earth. So you get a lot of early scenes of like a tour guide being annoyed at Turlough for asking questions that demonstrate that he's a critical thinker, and she's not having that. And he's kind of traveling around the planet in this weird like vacuum tube technology that seems to go everywhere, and it's kind of an interesting opening.
Yeah, he's traveling around incognito as well, isn't he? But it's a good bit of world building, I thought. So I must say, when they're saying that Sloss's land is this bit that's trying to break away, so I kind of think, is this Scotland? I wonder whether it was some kind of political comment or something. But if it was Scotland, it would probably be known as Danacots, wouldn't it? So Turlough departs from Trion to conduct some secret experiments in deep space to find out what's going on with the Guard Summit. Only to find too late that Juras has stowed away on board on his little spaceship,
which I think is the spaceship depicted on the cover, from what I can tell.
Oh, I thought it was smaller, though, his spaceship.
Well, because he starts out on a slightly bigger one that has, like, a few different levels.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And then he moves to a really small one that
Yeah.
This is like reminded me of the tilt-a-whirl spaceship from Explorers.
Okay.
I think came out the same year as this book.
Oh yeah, Explorers. I've never seen the film. I just read the novelization.
Oh.
So so Turlough doesn't trust Duras completely because she chose to remain on Tryon and work in Ratchat's research division whilst he was busy being exiled to Earth. So she claims that she chose to do so in order to divert Ratchat's research into more productive, less destructive kind of things. And apparently Ratchat had been obsessed with understanding gravity, thinking that it was key to the unified field theory and thus helping crack time travel. And Duras has already guessed what Turlough intends to do. Turlough is wanting to build a time machine of his own based on what he's gleaned from his time as the Doctor. And with Duras's help, he succeeds, travelling to the planet Regal for supplies to find only ruins and a pleasant, eccentric young man who claims that the planet was mined out thousands of years ago.
With this, Turlough studying the TARDIS to learn the secrets of time travel kind of under the Doctor's nose seems very much in keeping with his character.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Yeah. Though I'm not sure he'd have managed to figure out much as to how it all worked. But anyway, go ahead.
So then Turlough's got a working time ship, and he takes his ship back to Earth to collect his notes on the Guardsormer's movements. And Duras is amused by his revelation that the people of Earth think it's impossible to travel faster than the speed of light.
And where on earth does he go?
Well, I'm glad I watched Modern Undead before reading this, or rewatched it, I should say, because he decides to visit his old school, and
Yes.
that part puzzled me a little bit because it's really right around the same time as Modern Undead.
Yeah.
He's gone for a weekend or so, but or I should say, younger Turlough, who's exiled to Earth, is not like on campus.
Yeah, maybe he's gone to spend time with the mysterious solicitor in London or whatever it is.
But I would think that if the Black Guardian was active during this time, that the Guardian would have sensed, like, oh, there's another Turlough here, what's going on? But we don't really get any references to that.
No.
And Duras is puzzled when she tries to take some readings on Earth based on her understandings of gravity waves, only to find that her calculations are all coming out wrong. And then there's a guy from...
The chap from the planet, Regal. So on Earth, they encounter him, having met him previously on Regal.
Okay. He's an eccentric young man who reveals himself to be a Time Lord who calls himself the Magician, and he claims he's here to observe Turlough's progress. So he's kind of hanging around, and to me, he behaved very similar to like William Hartnell on some of his... just like, I'm here to observe and I can't interfere, and I'm just kind of sitting on the wall sort of thing, watching what's going on as a spectator.
Yeah.
Although he kind of sticks his oar in every so often.
Yeah, I get a bit of a Troughton vibe from the Magician. But yeah.
Yeah, like an early Doctor sort of.
Yeah.
vibe.
Maybe Ruth.
Hard to say. We don't know where she quite fits in at this point. So with Duras's help, Turlough's already constructed the time machine, which he calls Artemis, which is an acronym for...
I can't remember.
It stands for... Well, there's... the first Artemis... There's two Artemises, we later learn. The first one stands for Artificial Rotation Through Energetic Neurons in series. And then Artemis 2, the sequel, is called Artificial Relativity Through Entropy Mechanisms in Sequence.
Yes.
He's got those down. And then they have their Artemis drive in their ship, and they want to make this discovery with this unified field theory to prevent the entropic decay of the universe, which, of course, is hinted at in Logopolis.
Yes.
So Turlough, uncertain whether the Magician's here for his own amusement or as a representative of the Time Lords with orders to stop him from developing time travel, he decides to take the Magician with him. Well, he and Duras follow the movements of the Guardsormer and try and uncover more about them.
So it does feel a bit like Christopher H. Bidmead, doesn't it? Kind of stuff. Though, curiously, Tony Attwood, he's watched some Doctor Who or read some synopses, but he's not encountered Frontios, because there's a few things in Frontios that just don't get a mention. Anyway, we'll cross on to those later.
When they're visiting Earth, too, just a couple of quick things.
Yeah.
I love that Turlough gets the Brigadier's name wrong. He calls him Lethbridge Steward. And as they're leaving the ship, Duras has kind of a worry about her clothes, and she's wearing like this one-piece engineering jumpsuit, and Turlough kind of responds with derision, and he says, if your clothes look unusual, everyone just assumes it's a new fashion. As long as no one examines the material too closely, we'll be okay, which I think was a great meta-commentary on 80s fashions. Smack in the middle of the Colin Baker era. So well done, Tony Attwood, for that.
Yeah. Yeah, so using his notes, Turlough is able to predict the location of a guardsmere ship, but he's spotted following them, and so the guardsmere capture the ship. So Turlough and his fellow travellers, they lose consciousness, and they wake up on a forest world, which is the third planet visited by the guardsmere. And they're amongst a colony of other people from Tryon who claim to have been abducted and stranded here for no apparent reason. I thought that's a really good sequence where they're just waking up in the forest and you kind of like, what is going on? And so Turlough's disgusted to learn that rather than everyone working together to solve their problems, they've been engaged in a war with another settlement of Tryons from a rival continent. So the good Tryons that he's with are from Noved, which is Devon backwards, and the people from the rival continent are from Cleveland backwards. What's your beef with Cleveland?
Devon versus Cleveland, wow.
Yeah.
Oh. It really bugged me, too, that they just leave his spaceship out in space, and that's the end of it. We never find out what happens to it or whether it was confiscated, and, they eventually start working on Artemis 2 or whatever, but there's no follow-up with that. So there's this time and spaceship just floating out there in space, abandoned,
Well, there are a couple of loose ends in this. But yeah, so Turlough and Duras are forced to work on a plan to use radioactive materials from an ancient alien castle to build nuclear bombs. As you do. So the magician gives Turlough a vision that reveals that this alien castle is actually the mobile castle of Tryon that we learned about earlier on, which logically means it must somehow be capable of time travel. Does it? Okay. Fair enough. Rightio. So with this knowledge, Turlough and Duras are able to divert their work and fool their captors into believing they're building a stockpile of nuclear weapons, when in fact they're building an Artemis drive to convert the mobile castle into a ship capable of interstellar flight. And they summon the colonists to the castle, apparently for a test of the nuclear weapons. But then they launch the castle into space and take the colonists with them, heading back to Tryon.
As you do.
Yes, as you do. That sequence is kind of cool. I mean, it does, and particularly when you've got the castle floating around in space as well. And so, I mean, I wouldn't say that it's particularly hard science, but there are some bits where people say that it's quite cold when they're wandering around certain bits of the castle and everything. And anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself.
So then Turlough uses the Artemis drive to prove to the colonists on the castle that their future on New Tryon only held war and death, but is surprised when, after the castle launches, that triggers a nuclear exchange on New Tryon. So all the bombs kind of...
Yeah, Cleveland starts bombing Devon,
and Devon responds, and... because I don't think all the colonists are on the ship, just a fair number of them.
Yeah.
And then the Guardstormer arrive, and then they begin constructing these artificial domes on the planet's surface that reminded me a lot of the tripods in terms of their description. And Turlough pilots the mobile castle back to Tryon, now that New Tryon's been destroyed. And he's greeted as a returning hero until the refugees claim that he told them the Guardstormer were responsible for their predicament, because the Guardstormer had allied to overthrow Reichstadt, so they're considered allies. So defaming them is
a bad thing. Yes.
Yeah. Makes Turlough kind of an embarrassment to those who had allied with him.
Yeah.
And then so he's summoned before the Committee of Public Safety, or COPS, to explain himself and to hand over the blueprints for his Artemis drive. But before he can decide what to do, the orbit of the castle begins to decay, and the Trion authorities are unable to shoot it down for fear of causing nuclear fallout across the planet. So Turlough, Juras, and the Magician travel back to the castle in orbit to try and to prevent its collision with Trion. But then Juras suddenly has this like possessed look in her eye, and she starts to attack the Magician and Turlough. They're able to restrain her, and then they realize that post-hypnotic commands were implanted in her brain during her time in Rektat's laboratories. But this attack has kind of cost them because the castle's drives have also been sabotaged, and it's too late for them to do anything about it. So they're forced to take the castle's Artemis drive with them to their shuttle, and they flee as the castle falls from orbit, colliding with Trion, and also devastating this planet. So Turlough's 2 for 3 so far in terms of planetary destruction. And then shortly afterwards, the Guardstormers arrive and they start building domes on this planet as well.
So Turlough pilots his time ship back to Earth, seeking answers, only to find it too has been devastated by nuclear war. And this one's been triggered by an asteroid collision. And general bad times. So now he's free for free. Well done, Turlough. It's almost like Adric-like, isn't it? So Garsmere domes have been planted there as well. And upon landing, Turlough startled to see a slot, which is one of the crustaceous-like creatures that we encountered earlier on from Trion. And in fact, it's the very same slot that he met during his tour, emerging from one of the domes. And the slot claims that he's been protected by the force field of the slot's ruin, and that he's here to protect both the past and future of his race. But no, he departs without explaining himself any further. But okay, fine, you make as much sense as everything else does. So Turlough enters one of the domes to find deformed telepathic humanoids. So possibly Orphan 55? Slaughtering giant foul-smelling slugs and cutting up their remains. Now, here's the thing. So he's got these giant slugs around, and nobody mentions the Tractators. And in Frontios, he has a real bad reaction to the Tractators because they cause so much damage generations ago on Trion that there's almost this generational fear that's passed down through your genes of Tractators. But he doesn't mention any of this. So just big slugs.
And I wonder if the slots were originally supposed to be Tractators, because their description's very similar, and maybe he didn't bother getting the rights to them, because if these 5 or 6 different alien races have all invaded and occupied Trion over the years, and if one of those is the Tractators, you'd think they'd get a mention in the book, but they're not mentioned at all.
Yeah, so Turlough at first assumes that these telepathic humanoids are mutated survivors of the war. But then he, Juras and the Magician, encounter a band of human survivors led by the wonderfully named David Swallow. Who claims that the mutants, Pharax, arrived on the planet along with the domes, and the remains of the land snails, these giant slug things, are being used as fertilizer to restore life to the Earth. And somehow, despite the nuclear fallout, the background radiation has dropped back to pre-war levels within a year.
Interesting. The slugs also reminded me quite a bit of the Twin Dilemma and the gastropods in that as well.
Yeah, and also, speaking of Twin Dilemma, just as there isn't really a dilemma in the Twin Dilemma, I have to think, what is the dilemma in the Earthlink Dilemma?
I think it's Turlough. He's the common thread that connects these 3 planets. Oh.
Yeah. Also, I wonder, was David Swallow a mate of Tony Attwood? Because it's the only vaguely human name that you see.
Yeah.
It feels like it's just a call out to a friend or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does seem like the name is somewhat odd.
Yeah. Yes. At least it's not Ivad Wallows or something.
So Turlough, baffled, he returns to his
He's
shuttle.
He's not the only one, is he?
Scratching his head. So his shuttle's surrounded by Guardstormer vessels, and the leader of the Guardstormer emerges and is revealed to be an elderly Turlough from an alternate timeline. So the elder Turlough explains that the Guardstormer are in fact Trions who pretended to be aliens in order to ally themselves with the mad Rectat and undermine her authority from within. And they continued the charade when it became clear that the new regime had been infiltrated by Rectat's followers, and that Rectat herself was not dead, but had gone into hiding. And somehow, she's also responsible for the destruction of Earth, Trion, and New Trion, and it's up to Turlough to find and stop her. Turlough finally puts the pieces together and realizes that Juras is in fact Rectat herself, and the mad dictator implanted her own mind inside Juras's body, burying her own consciousness, this spike implanted in her brain to trigger her programming whenever Rectat's plans were threatened, which is why she intervened earlier when they were on the mobile castle. And Rectat has been leading Turlough on in order to find an answer to the scientific puzzle she was never able to solve, the unified field theory, which she had a number of different scientists working on for years. She's wanting to prove that universal gravity constant is decreasing over time, and since it's not, Rectat has concluded that something is stopping it, and if she can find the source of the effect and control it, she thinks she'll achieve supreme universal power. And then, realizing that she's been exposed, she attacks Turlough, who is then forced to kill her, although it feels as though he's killing his former friend Juras. And they make the comment that, Rectat actually killed Juras with the mind wipe months or years ago. But, it's, you get this sequence, and I also don't think this book passes the Bechdel test, because you only ever have one woman at a time in the book, and she is always betraying them in some respects. So
yes, personality type is either evil or girl. But oh well. So to save both Trion and Earth, and New Trion as well, presumably, but hey, let's not mention that, Turlough takes the Artemis drive back to Trion during the last days of the Rectat regime, planning to offer her both the Artemis drive and unified field theory in order to get close enough to kill her. And he claims to have seen the error of his ways and sort of says, I don't want to be an exile anymore, and presents her with his conclusions. And Rectat is so impressed by his work that she decides to possess his body instead of Juras's in this alternative timeline. So it's an interesting thing, isn't it? It's like, I think you've got a great mind. I must take it over for myself. So Turlough finds himself in this impossible maze, and he starts to panic as he realises that there isn't a way out. And that's quite a cool sequence. And
reminded me a little bit of Heaven Sent.
Yeah, I can see why you might say that. Though, I don't think much else has been taken from this book for the new series. But so once he's been sufficiently disoriented, he's taken to the medical bay where Rectat implants her mind within his. And at this moment, the magician arrives and he kidnaps Turlough and uses his TARDIS to strand Turlough in the base of the Giant's Drop, which is that big chasm that we were talking about earlier, and presented with another scenario from which it's impossible to escape. Turlough begins to realise that there's a voice screaming at him in the back of his head, but this time it isn't his own, and he's able to resist it and drive it out, killing Rectat forever.
So
I like your yes, a likely story.
So he's able to battle her with his mind, but others are not.
No, because he is the hero. I guess. I mean, I don't know. Turlough doesn't seem to be somebody of particularly strong mind, but I suppose, because he's been dealing with the Guardians, maybe he's more used to this.
Or he's picked up some mental resistance from his time, with the Doctor, and maybe picked up some Time Lord tricks. Who knows? But
who knows? Yeah.
So they're once they're sure that Turlough is free of Rectat's influence, the magician and the slot return to pick him back up at the bottom of the chasm, and the slot explains that his own people, the Lema, evolved beyond the need for the physical universe millions of years ago. However, their passing to the next plane of existence was hampered by the decrease of the universal gravity constant, and therefore they built an artifact to stop this, and that's what they placed on the uninhabited Earth. And this is why Juras's gravity wave calculations came out wrong when she was trying to take readings on Earth. And it also explains why the people of Earth don't think that it's possible to travel faster than the speed of light, because apparently Earth exists in some kind of dampening field where that's not possible. And then with the Slot's help, the magician pilots his TARDIS into an alternate timeline where the possessed Turlough falls to his death in the giant drop while struggling to expel Rectat from his mind. And this is a really kind of a gross sequence where they're at the bottom of the pit and Turlough watches himself fall and just like splatter everywhere. And then he's like, well, guess we have to clean this up now.
Yeah, because it's moderately graphic, isn't it? As well. I mean, it's not quite new adventure graphic, but still,
It's like something out of The Prestige.
Possibly. I've not seen The Prestige.
Oh, well.
Yes.
I shall say no more.
No, fair enough.
It's worth seeing. It's
Yes.
especially with David Bowie as Tesla.
I do mean to see it. It is on my list.
So Turlough ends up taking his dead self's place in this alternate timeline where, of course, Earth, New Trion, and Trion aren't destroyed. And with Rectat well and truly gone, he's reunited with Duras, the real Duras who wasn't possessed in this timeline. And then he prepares to introduce Artemis and the wonder of time travel to his people. And that's where the book ends.
Yeah. So the book ends with presumably the Earth and the Doctor Who universe utterly destroyed.
I didn't think of it that way, but yes, it does. Wow.
Unless that's the... I don't know. Unless
Turlough's was the alternate one, and
Yes.
now he's in the real one, yeah.
Yeah, and so maybe the Turlough that we saw travelling with the Doctor ends up dead at the bottom of the canyon? Or am I just overthinking this? I think I'm just...
No, I think, yeah, one of those two has to be right, and they can't both be, so
Yeah.
we don't really know.
No. So,
Wow.
what did you make of this?
Well, at 221 pages, this is technically the longest Doctor Who Target novel, and it did feel like that while reading it in parts. I don't know, this one, it felt more, I guess, like a repurposed science fiction book idea to me than like a Doctor Who idea, and it didn't really feel like a Target book. It sticks out a bit in that respect from its peers, and there's a lot of exposition in this book where a lot of the times it felt like the author was just telling me what was happening rather than
showing.
Showing. The narrative too, it's really stilted where it shies away from describing the impact of like monumental events like nuclear war on Trion and Earth, and it just kind of matter-of-factly says, and then all the bombs went off, and it was no, like, Turlough didn't feel sad or anything like that. It's just like, well, guess I'm going to go to this planet now, and it just, I don't know, just some of that kind of bugged me.
But that doesn't feel wildly out of character for him, does it? I guess, but, yeah.
What did you think of it?
Oh, gosh. Yeah, it wasn't great. I really enjoyed the start where he's travelling around kind of like in disguise, like all the world building there. And I thought, oh, this is going to be good. And then the rest of the book unfolded. Yeah, and also the magician. Oh, it does feel like he wanted to do some kind of Doctor type thing, and he couldn't solve the idea of doing a story in the Doctor Who universe, but without the Doctor. Unless you just had another random Time Lord. It's not very good. But he's fascinated, though, for some reason, by unified field theory.
Yeah, and I don't have a full understanding of...
No.
I mean, it's the four forces of the universe, strong, and I think, weak gravity, and a couple of others, and... finding a way to get them all to work in concert with each other. And it's not something that we've been able to solve today. I mean, there's, scientists at one point, they talked about like the missing matter problem, and that's where we get dark matter from. In terms of what makes up the vast majority of the mass of the universe. But those concepts weren't really fully as well developed, in the mid 80s, especially from like a pop culture standpoint. So it seems like he's just getting inklings of some of this stuff. And I think he talks about the particle versus wave test, like the slot test, and mentions that as well. And it's kind of a bit of a mess, I think. I also don't like how, like, just casually they dismiss Juras's possession, which happens pretty early on in the book, and they just kind of forget about it, and then comes up again at the end. And
Yeah.
I don't know. And they forgot about the first Artemis spaceship that's out there somewhere. And visually, I think it had some cool imagery and some ideas and, some strong things to say about nuclear proliferation and arms buildup.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because this was written just as Glasnost and Perestroika were going into effect with the Soviets.
Yeah, or even before that, just before that, I think. But anyway, it was still, but I mean, certainly Tony Attwood would have grown up with the Cold War, and so, it's just, it feels very 80s from that point of view of those concerns, and like, what do you mean, very valid concerns at the time, so, yeah.
It also felt a little bit like there's a Star Trek The Next Generation episode called The Chase, which I think is from season 6, where you just kind of go planet hopping, and you're like, oh, all these things are connected, and you have these species coming here and there, and it just reminded me a bit of that, where it's trying to be this like epic, let's explain how life originates in this corner of the universe, but it just it doesn't stick the landing.
No.
So how would you rate this one?
Ooh, how would I rate this one? I think I'm gonna have to give it a 2.
Oh, okay.
I really didn't like it.
So a point for the world building.
Yes. Yeah, and I don't know where the other point comes from, but it's a 2. It's a 2. I don't think I could go it much lower, but gosh, no. How about you?
I would say a 4 out of 10 for me.
Okay.
Sounds like I liked it maybe a little bit more than you, but just definitely a slog to get through. And
yeah. Well, it was just a name thing, because like whenever any new name came up, I was then like trying to flip it back and forth, do various anagrams to sort of say, is this Cornwall? Is this Nova Scotia? Or is this just a random series of letters hit on the keyboard?
And a lot of which planet are we on again? Because once they all have the mobile castle there, and they've all gone through nuclear war, and they all have the domes, it's like they seemed very identical to me, and I had to keep reminding myself, oh, we're on New Trine. Oh, no, we took less than a paragraph, but now we're back on Earth. And also, the Guardsmere are part of Nordic mythology, but like, why do they go by that name? Because there's some other bits of Nordic mythology that get used. Why? What's going on? And I think that was meant to be like an early visit to Earth where they may have influenced like Nordic culture, but again, it's not.
No.
It's never called out or explained.
No, it's not. It's not.
Well.
Oh, well.
Now that we've eaten our vegetables, shall we turn to the main course?
Yes, that's sample Harry Sullivan's War. A book that, lest we forget, my 12-year-old self thought was so good that I learned an expression in French saying that I very much loved Harry Sullivan's War. So
this book is written by Ian Marter.
Yes.
Ian Marter, of course, played Harry Sullivan in Tom Baker's first year. And the book was published September 11th, 1986, just 6 weeks before the author passed away on October 28th of 86 at the age of 42.
Yeah.
Just a year younger than Harry is in this book.
Yes. Definitely writing this as, how is Harry now? And also from a point of view of the unit dating controversy, I think Ian Marter is very much of the opinion that the unit stories happened in the 70s. So...
In addition to writing this title, Ian Marter also novelized 9 other Target books, including The Ark in Space, The Sontaran Experiment, Earthshock, and Enemy of the World. I'm glad that I watched Modern Undead. The Brigadier in that states that Harry was seconded to NATO and is doing something very hush-hush at Porton Down. Another book we've read, I think, also contains a reference to this book. Some of Harry's work with neurochemicals is mentioned, I think, in Who Killed Kennedy.
Yes, it is.
Reference to him there.
It is.
And this book contains 16 chapters and an epilogue.
And also a location that was in last month's book.
Trafalgar Square.
Yeah.
With the lions.
Yes.
And I think I've mentioned it before on this podcast, but if listeners haven't gone back to Terror of the Zygons, go check out that recently discovered deleted scene on there. It's short, but it has some great character moments with that particular TARDIS team. Much like Robot and the Time Warrior before it, it was filmed at the end of season 12 and was held over to start the season 13 opener. So it's a good one to check out.
Yeah. Right.
Anything else you'd say about Ian Marter?
No, it's just, as I've said before, it's such a shame that we didn't have the opportunity to have any new adventures from him. Because I think they might have been interesting. Though your opinion may change on that as this goes on. But anyways, right, so shall we begin?
Yeah, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, let's. So on the eve of his 41st birthday, Harry Sullivan learns that despite some of his moral objections to what he's been working on, he's going to be transferred to NATO's chemical weapons development program on Yara, which is an island off the Scottish coast. I don't think it's a real island off the Scottish coast, but it's in the Summer Isles, which is a real bit of islands, and not to be confused with the place from The Wicker Man. But yes. So yeah, he's in a gym where there's this attempt is made on his life by this guy who keeps on being described as kind of like a Jamaican strongman and stuff like that. And I thought, I do feel a tiny bit uncomfortable with some of the kind of like the almost the exoticism that is used around that character.
Like a James Bond henchman in a way.
Very much so, very much so. So whilst he's recovering from that incident, he goes to the National Gallery. And it's round about here that our other extract for this month comes in, which has been read for us by Harry Likes Suits, who is a leading Harry Sullivan cosplayer, who you can see in several Doctor Who conventions up and down the UK. And I've had the pleasure of meeting Harry a couple of times. So yeah, let's have a listen.
As he strode up the steps of the National Gallery, turning all this over in his mind, Harry was suddenly seized by a terrible cramping pain in his chest and a sensation like having a hot knife thrust down his windpipe. He gasped and stumbled against one of the pillars of the portico, clutching his raw and tender ribs with both hands. The full horror of the attack in the gymnasium overwhelmed him again. Ridiculous speculations flitted through his mind as he leant against the pillar trying to relax and breathe normally. Could his secretive NATO masters in Geneva be trying to get rid of him, he wondered, remembering his heated argument with Rear Admiral de Longpre at the Admiralty 2 days before, when he had demanded to be allowed to remain in defence rather than transfer to weapons development. Did they fear he might become a security risk because of his discontentment with his job? Or did somebody else somewhere have a more sinister reason for wanting him out of the way? Harry jumped as a slim hand grasped his own, firmly but gently. "Are you okay?" asked a husky female voice close to his ear. Harry caught a whiff of subtle perfume and felt a warm breath on his cheek. "I think so," he murmured, turning his head in surprise. "Yes, I'm perfectly... His voice folded up in his throat as he found himself staring into a pair of pale blue eyes set in a strong but pretty oval face and framed by curly straw-coloured hair. "Are you sure?" the girl asked earnestly, frowning with concern as she squeezed Harry's arm with both hands. Despite his groggy condition, Harry's instinctive macho pride instantly took over. "Of course I am," he said loudly, flexing his arm muscles. "I'm in the pink." "You do look a little flustered," the girl said with a delighted smile, squeezing his arm even harder. "It's all right. You don't have to prove anything, you know." Harry tugged himself free, adjusting his tie and clearing his throat with embarrassment. "No, of course not," he croaked, backing towards the revolving door leading into the gallery. "But thanks anyway." He turned on his heel and fled unsteadily into the building, leaving the girl in her expensive tracksuit-style outfit staring after him with huge amused eyes. As Harry's awkward, confused figure disappeared through the door, the girl's smile faded and her mouth set into a determined line. "This is going to be easier than I thought," she murmured to herself.
Thanks, Harry, for reading that.
Yeah, thank you. So Harry's met this young woman, Samantha, and who seems to be up to no good. And Samantha claims to be doing some volunteer work for the Anti-Chemical Hazard Environment Society. And she invites him to, visit her sometime. And whilst he's trying to work out what he's going to do about going up to Yara, he accepts an invitation from his old friend, Teddy Bland. And Teddy is a senior researcher up at Yara. And he's inviting Harry to spend a weekend with him at his home in the Hebrides. Though when he's up in Scotland, coming back from said weekend, he's kind of run off the road by a Land Rover and wakens up in a place called Castle Mackie, which is home of the American neurologist Alexander Shire. Your Bond villain Dar may well be going off right now.
And I was going to say, and Teddy Bland is kind of the Felix Leiter, I think, of the piece.
It's a bit of a nod to James Bond, because the reason why James Bond has the surname Bond was that Ian Fleming wanted to go for something bland sounding, which is a phrase he used in several different interviews. And I think at one point he was thinking of calling it James Bland.
Oh, that would have been different.
Yes. Well, there's a few James Bond movies that described as being a bit bland. So he's Castle Mackie, and he's shocked to overhear what seems to be Lethbridge Stewart just kind of talking calmly about classified details about various unit operations. He then sort of sees outside the castle the mud-spattered Land Rover, so what had run him off the road, it would appear. And so he flees. And later on, he encounters Lethbridge Stewart in a newsagent, where we discover that that Harry Sullivan is a Guardian reader, but has to make do with the Times every now and again. And I thought, I'm not sure I had him down as a Guardian reader, but okay, fair enough. So he makes this offhanding sort of comment about Castle Mackie, and Lethbridge Stewart sort of says he owns a cottage near the castle, but he claims never to have visited Alexander Shire. And Harry is unaware that whilst he was unconscious, Shire had administered a dose of sodium pentothal to him, and that he's revealed all he knew about his forthcoming work at Yarra. It's also worth saying in the newsagent that there's also quite an interesting headline about the Jamaican strongman as well. That, just like, oh gosh, oh dearie dear. Anyway.
Different times.
It was different times.
So, despite his reservations, Harry goes ahead and accepts this new posting at Yarra. Not really sure he has a choice because it's a military assignment and he's ordered to take it, but he does. And one day he this part, oh my gosh. So one day he commits a bit of casual malpractice and he overdoses a fellow researcher with the antidote to the toxins she's been developing, and she gets like 10 times as much as she should. And he's like, should I tell her about this? Should I sweep it under the rug? Or what? So her hair starts falling out and she starts suddenly gaining a bunch of weight. But hey, on the upside, it cures her recurring migraines. And sometime later, she announces that, hey, after months and months of trying with her husband, her infertility has magically gone away and she's finally pregnant and she's going to give birth. So Harry begins to research these potentially beneficial side effects of the antitoxin, but at the neglect of his official work. And that attracts the wrath of the establishment's director, Conrad Gold. So there are 3 ampules of the deadly nerve toxin called Attila 305, which disappear, and Gold immediately orders Teddy Bland, who's reluctant to begin investigating Harry. And then meanwhile, Samantha, the woman that Harry encountered at the Van Gogh exhibit, she contacts Harry again and invites him to visit her at her home, Castle Mackie, which he had been to previously and escaped from. And he's surprised to learn that Alexander Shire is her father. And unaware that he's under investigation, he accepts her invitation in order to learn more. And he's going under an alias at this point.
Oh, yeah, it's Laurie. Oh, gosh, what was it? Because she thinks he's American, doesn't she?
Yeah, an American tourist, yeah.
Yes. Can you imagine that accent?
Another reason it makes me kind of wish we had gotten an audiobook version of this read by
Ian Marter. Yeah, it would have been such fun.
So, arriving at Castle Mackie, Harry stumbles across evidence that Shire apparently has access to surveillance devices planted throughout the Yarra facility, and he meets another of Shire's guests, the same strongman henchman guy that we met earlier, who has the wonderful name of Rudolph Rainbow. And that's the guy who tried to kill him on his birthday.
Because I kept on just reading it in my mind as Randy Rainbow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, dear.
That'd be a different James Bond henchman villain stereotype that we don't know that we have time to go into.
No.
From Diamonds Are Forever.
Yes. But yeah. So, also, it's worth saying that there's a lot of Van Gogh paintings that are appearing. Because there are some in Castle Mackie, and I think, doesn't he also discover one at Lethbridge Stewart's house?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, so...
And I think there's one in another one in London somewhere in one of the offices too.
So Samantha is just kind of being all flirty, McFlirty with Harry, and playfully pushes him into the castle pool, soaking his clothes. And then Rudolph Rainbow... I'm trying so hard not to call him Randy Rainbow that I'm getting his surname wrong. Well, if we just call him Randy Rainbow by accident, you'll forgive us, dear listener. We're friends. So Rudolph Rainbow locks Harry into the changing room. And that night, still wet and shivering, Harry's taken from the castle and driven to a deserted kind of croft, a kind of type of like hut thing, by a stranger named, how am I going to pronounce this? Zbigniew Brodsky? I don't know.
That works, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Who demands that Harry tell him everything he knows about the Attila antitoxin. When Harry refuses to do so, Brodsky flings one of the stolen ampules into the croft and drives off, leaving Harry alone with a shattered ampule in order to see its effects upon him. And Harry tries to wrap it up in his dampened blazer, hoping that the water will absorb the vapour, but he's already beginning to feel dizzy. And then Samantha rocks up, but she apparently starts falling victim to the toxin and loses consciousness. And Harry's too weak to pull her to safety, so he takes his car and drives to Lethbridge Stewart's cottage to seek help. But he's not there. So Harry finds some map coordinates scribbled on a notepad by the phone. And it turns out that Lethbridge Stewart's butler, who goes by the wonderful name of Curly, is involved in the conspiracy, though Harry manages to evade him and flee. And he also escapes from Brodsky and Rudolph Rainbow. But Brodsky's convinced that Harry's survival means he's got vital information about the antitoxin, and is determined to extract it from him.
There are several escape sequences throughout this book.
Oh, yes, which we've glossed over, yes.
And there's also a lot of coincidences, like running into the Brigadier at different times. And funnily, like the layout of this island or whatever, there's like a lake on the island, which Harry has to escape across a few different times during all of this. But I think it's set up where around this lake you have the Brigadier's cottage, you have this castle, and then you also have this research facility, all conveniently like, oh, I'm going to go across the bay and I'm going to go visit the brig. Oh, now I'm going back to work. And it's just like, wow, it's that was very convenient that that everything's happening around this one lake.
But also as well, we've glossed over what I thought was a really good sequence on the Forth Bridge, which is a real-life bridge that goes over the River Forth into Edinburgh. So it's a railway bridge where Harry kind of clambers up, and basically Ian Marter clearly wants to write a Bond book. And that is a spectacular sequence, I thought. I mean, it's not very original, but still, it's written well and it's entertaining. He escapes from Brodsky and Rainbow by jumping onto a train, kind of going over the bridge, and
and hiding several different cars in this, and hiding them under overpasses, and all that sort of. You get quite a bit of extended chase sequences. So after one of these escapes, Harry gets back to his flat in London, and he ends up sleeping exhausted for 19 hours. And he wakes up and he plans to basically tell all, to his Rear Admiral de Longpre, which is another fantastic name.
Yes.
But before he can do so, he's contacted by Shire, who claims that Samantha has fallen victim to the toxin and needs the antidote to survive. And uncertain what to do, Harry, is on his way to de Longpre for his debriefing when he's arrested by Special Branch and charged with treason. The remains of the stolen ampule have been found wrapped in his blazer in the hut, but then another ampule was found in his car that he stowed under the overpass, and that piece of evidence was planted to frame him. And then he's in prison, where he's visited by Sarah Jane Smith. In a cameo, and she reveals that she's recently interviewed Alexander Shire and Samantha for a piece she's writing on the Anti-Bioweapons Brigade, and how, although that occurred after Harry's experience with the ampule, to her, Samantha looked perfectly healthy. And I think he meets Samantha in the gallery.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
And then, yeah, he sees her in person, and she looks looks paralyzed in parts, and she's just, that really, I think, convinces him to not go to the Admiral like he was planning to.
Yeah, okay.
But he hears from Sarah that, nope, she saw her just yesterday, and she was perfectly fine. But they've disappeared, as has Lethbridge Stewart, which seems to implicate him in the conspiracy as well, because Harry remembers hearing Lethbridge Stewart in the castle. So Harry's determined to solve the mystery, but then his lawyer advises him to pay more attention to his defense, and not only has he been linked to the theft of the vials of the toxin, but also to the Van Gogh Appreciation Society, which is a front for the European Anarchist Revolution and its leader, known terrorist Zbigniew Brodsky, whom Harry had met earlier.
So, one thing I was just going to say about the prison that Harry's in, which is Wormwood Scrubs. Ian Marter clearly knew West London relatively well, because I had a relative who lived just outside the prison for a while, and the description is spot on of the place. So I was able to, very much visualise it. I was like, at least he'd been there a few times. So I just wanted to give praise for that. Whilst Harry's waiting to be remanded for trial, he tries to find the location of the map coordinates that he remembers seeing in Lethbridge Stewart's cottage, and so he finds that it's in the Summer Isles. And he's removed from prison for interrogation by the British security forces, but their van's attacked, and he's rescued by Brodsky and Shire, and they believe that he now has no choice but to hand over the antidote to them. But he manages to escape, and he heads off for the Summer Isles.
That was a great escape sequence where he gets a change of clothes, he gets 500 pounds in cash, and he says, I need this, this, and this.
Yeah.
And then he sees that Rudolph is busy, bench pressing out in the backyard, and then the other henchman, whose name is Waldo, is busy with something else too. So he just walks out the front door and steals their Land Rover and takes off.
Yeah. Ian Marter's clearly having great fun writing this, isn't he? So, So up on the Summer Isles, and you're going to have to bear with us on this one, there's this ancient barrow that's known as the Brigadier. So, which is 3 words, BrygAdyr, and it does say it means something in Gaelic, and I've forgotten what it was. But again, I think that Ian Marter spent quite a bit of time on holiday in Scotland. Mm-hmm. But yeah. So anyways, Harry spots Conrad Gold, who was his superior officer on Yarra, burying something beneath a rock on the Brigadier. And once Gold's gone, Harry unearths a package to discover that it contains some microfiches of the classified work that's being done at Yarra. And realising that Gold's the real traitor, Harry contacts his mate Teddy Bland and convinces him to arrange a stakeout at the Brigadier to catch the real criminals. He then leaves a note for the gang, ostensibly from Gold, telling him to meet Saturday at dawn for samples of the antidote. And he contacts Gold, claiming to have photographs of him, planting the stolen microfiches and threat to blackmail him. And Saturday before dawn, Teddy Bland and a special branch team arrive, and despite their suspicions about Harry, he manages to convince them to wait for the conspirators. And when they do arrive, however, Harry sees the angry Brodsky slapping Samantha for some failure on her part, and he's unable to stand by and allow this. And his premature arrival bungles the operation, and most of the conspirators escape, but Gold is captured, and so Harry's name's cleared. And Lethbridge Stewart is eventually found, having been kidnapped by his butler, Curly, to keep him out of the way. And there's this line, who is it who says this? Oh, yeah, De Longpre says, as is usual, I believe, in crime thrillers, the butler was responsible.
Yeah.
Then he says, and Lethbridge Stewart's back in his classroom, poor fellow. I thought, yeah, you're not going to tie Mortimer and Dead into this too closely.
And they never really explain, or at least in the narrative, it's never explained that Harry, for a long time, suspects that the Brigadier is guilty because he hears him in the castle.
Yeah.
And later we find that, there's all these tape recordings and wiretappings going on, in all these different locations. They're tied to all the paintings of Van Gogh that we see. where there's a microphone hidden in Van Gogh's damaged ear. And then when you step back and you look at the acronyms for both the revolutionary group, which is EAR, EAR, and then the scientific group that Samantha claims to be part of, which is ACHES, and you put them together and you have earaches. Is the name of the, so rather than like Spectre or whatever, you have earaches. Yes. And they're doing all their wiretapping through Van Gogh's ears. And then that explains why Harry, heard the Brigadier. He was listening to Alexander Shire, listening to a recording of the Brigadier, but they never come out and say that in the narrative at all. It's just, I think it's a detail that kind of a loose end that wasn't tied up before it ended. But But this being a Bond movie, we still have one more giant set piece.
Oh, yes.
So Harry makes a full report to the Admiralty, and he's advised to leave the rest of the operation in their hands, but he follows an earlier hunch and decides to attend the annual general meeting of the Van Gogh Appreciation Society at the Eiffel Tower.
Surely the Eiffel Tower screened people that they were like, oh, you're a known front for some kind of anarchist terror group. Maybe we won't have you meet it.
Maybe we won't host your party. Yes. So he's, he's all dressed up in a tuxedo, and he ends up taking a ferry across, not a flight or whatever, because he's worried about his movements being tracked.
Yeah.
At the Eiffel Tower, he finds Alexander Shire, Samantha, and Brodsky, as well as Samantha's twin sister, Natasha, who was paralyzed in an accident when she was 12. And that's the version of Samantha that he met and saw in the gallery. When they were trying to trick him that she was exposed to the neurotoxins. Yeah. He's up on top of the Eiffel Tower. Apparently there's a restaurant up there. I've never been myself, so I don't know if there is one.
I have been, and I don't remember there being a restaurant, but maybe there was like a cafe bar thing, so that might be that.
So Harry manages to escape from Randy Rainbow or Rudolph Rainbow by climbing out. This I don't understand too. So rather than stick around like all the people which he may be able to blend in with, he's like, I'm gonna go out on the balcony where I'm gonna drink profusely and get really drunk and then confront the bad guys. And then they basically dangle him over the edge, and you're like, well, thanks for showing up, we're gonna kill you now.
Yes.
So he manages to like headbutt Rainbow, who drops him, but he grabs the struts of the tower and he starts climbing down the deck that he's on. And this is where I started getting flashbacks to Superman 2 and Lois Lane beneath the elevator.
Well, not just that, but also View to a Kill.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Which would have come out, would that have been the most recent Bond movie when this was published? I suspect that there may be a little bit of a nod to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't think about that one, but yeah, for sure. So then Brodsky's other enforcer, Waldo, who just happens to be a Romanian acrobat, is scaling the girders after him, and they get into this confrontation where Waldo's like stepping on his fingers and Harry's about to fall, but then he grabs his ankle and overpowers him and sends Waldo to his death.
Though it's done cryptically, isn't it? The fight sequence starts and then you sort of see that a body falls, but it's not revealed whose body it is.
And I don't know if it's revealed whether or not the others are captured or if that's left out, if they escape, if some of them escape.
I think it's just left open. Yeah, because it just seems he just rocks up and goes, "Hi, you're nasty," and then just yeah.
And we get a brief scene where Harry returns to London at the end, where he's very visibly injured from his altercations on the girders and stuff, and that's where Teddy Bland's sister Esther, whom Teddy's been trying to set him up with for the entirety of the book, is waiting for him upon his return and promises that she'll take care of him. So you get like a sitcom-y style ending with like a look to the camera like, oh boy.
Well, yeah, or kind of like a PG Bond girl, isn't it? Yeah.
Where you get that kind of like look to the camera sort of thing, and
yeah, it is.
And that's Harry Sullivan's War.
What did you make of this?
Well, a tip of the hat to Ian Marter, first of all.
Yeah,
I liked it more than Turlough's book. I liked how delightfully sinister and Cold War-esque the narrative was. There was kind of that undercurrent of menace or paranoia throughout, while at other times the narration also kind of felt a little bit like a Hardy Boys or Nancy Drew novel.
Yes.
And a lot of the plot, especially early on, hinges on Harry keeping things to himself, not confiding in the Brigadier, not telling the guard about the woman who sneaks into his room via a cupboard, not confiding in Sarah Jane when she visits. There's a lot of points in this book where Harry's just making it harder on himself by not coming clean with what's going on. What did you think of it?
Honestly, I enjoyed it. I mean, the book's silly. I think the book knows it's silly, but also it's just a attempt to have fun. Yeah, I quite liked it. I mean, it's not a Doctor Who book. I mean, it doesn't. This did not need to have been set in the Doctor Who universe at all. But that said, it's a fun story. I mean, there are some, I was just saying, there are some bits of it that have dated. It's not sophisticated. It's just there to entertain. And so I can see why my younger self really enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. I really can. It reminds me of Alistair MacLean's books. There is one about kind of like a deadly virus and stuff. But yeah, there's Alistair MacLean, there's Ian Fleming. It's all coming together in this, it's a nice little mixture. And I think Ian Marter has this feeling, possibly, that this might be the only time he gets to write a kind of like a spy thriller. So he's just going for it.
Mm. I really wish the Eiffel Tower was on the cover of Harry Sullivan's War. Mm. Like, I like the, you get the car, you get the helicopter chase, you get the coordinates, but having the Eiffel Tower in the background, too, I think would have been cool.
Yeah, no, that's true. But, yeah.
Harry also kind of falls for a lot of simple tricks in this book.
Harry Sullivan's an imbecile. The Doctor told us this.
And Ian Marter states it several times throughout the book, but that really made the light bulb go off for me that, Harry's really dumb.
Yes.
He's just stumbling through things, and it felt a little bit like Get Smart or Inspector Gadget to me in that respect, or like a Man from U.N.C.L.E. sort of thing.
Yes. And your point is?
Well,
but he's not supposed to be some super intelligent spy. I mean, and he never was. I think that's part of the appeal of the character. Mm. He was always a fish out of water, and in this world, he's a fish out of water because he's not supposed to be involved in these spy jinks. I mean, he's supposed to just be working, doing kind of chemical research. Mm. He's not been trained for this kind of thing.
True. Although you think he would have gotten a basic 101 course from UNIT, but yeah.
Well, yeah, you'd thought he'd been taught to avoid honeypots, which is what Samantha is.
Yeah. I also found it kind of hilarious that every couple of chapters summed up all the outstanding questions and mysteries as Harry has a quiet think to himself, where he's like, what about the person who ran me off the road? What about the Brigadier? What's the connection with the Van Gogh paintings? Just like a little recap of all the outstanding mysteries at the end of every chapter was a nice little summary.
Yeah, this isn't a book that would leave a giant time ship outside, just lurking around outside the planet,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So with all that said, it was a fun read.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a ridiculous romp. And I think I would give this one a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I was going to give it 6 as well. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair. It's fun. If you don't like James Bond stuff, this is not the book for you. Mm. But if you do like kind of the slightly campier end of spy films, and
particularly the Roger Moore incarnation of James Bond.
Or Man from U.N.C.L.E. or stuff like that. Then mm-hmm. It's a good fun read. It doesn't pretend to be anything serious. Yeah, it's enjoyable.
And, of course, the third and final book in the compilation is Canine and Company by Terence Dudley, which we did not read.
No. Having watched that is bad enough. So, spend time reading
leave that to other podcasts to read and review that one.
Yes, indeed.
So, that's the Companions of Doctor Who. Mm. A nice little trip into the spin-off range.
Indeed.
Shall we move on to listener feedback?
Yeah, let's.
So it doesn't look like we have any new emails this month. You can email us at andwbcpodcast@gmail.com, and we'd be happy to read your email out on the podcast if you have comments about either the books we read this month or any other book comments you'd like to share, or any questions you have for us about our reactions to the new series, or those are always fun too.
Yep. We don't have any new reviews on the podcast bit of Apple. Really, certainly not on the UK side. But do please go on there and give us stars, because that helps the algorithm. Mm-hmm. And Facebook, we've had quite a few likes, which is always good to see. We have now had more than 50 individuals like the Facebook page, which is nice. Yes,
wonderful.
Yes, I mean, to be fair, what I tend to do on the Facebook page is put up stuff saying, yeah, "This is what we're reading," and here's a new episode. So I'm not quite as attractive as you are on Twitter, but it's a bit harder to do that on Facebook. Well, I don't know. Anyway, so Twitter.
Yeah, on Twitter, we've got a tweet from Alien Entertainment. They're the company that runs Chicago TARDIS, thanking us for sharing photos of their book setup in the dealer's room at Console Room. We got a tweet from Mike Morgan about our book last month, Dead Romance. He said it was a great book and had some follow-up questions about some of the additional content on Kindle, which we answered. And then Simon Smith writes that Dead Romance was well worth the purchase. I'm assuming he got the Kindle version.
Yeah.
As the physical versions. A little pricey these days.
Pretty expensive, yeah.
It was good to hear from longtime listener Keith Say, who writes in that he loved the podcast about Dead Romance and that he adores the Lawrence Miles books. And he loves the Faction Paradox line and thanks us for reminding him of those ranges. And then Big Ferg on Twitter writes that he wishes the Companions of Doctor Who series had continued beyond just the first 3 books. And then Pop Dietry says about Harry Sullivan's War, "Oh my giddy aunt, it's more fun than should be allowed for classic Doctor Who fans."
Yeah, because that's a phrase that Harry keeps on coming out with. But, which reminds me, I've got a mate of mine from Hong Kong who's called Harry, and he used to live in the UK. And when he was over here, we taught him "Oh my giddy aunt." And so it's this expression that he just goes around and he uses it apparently in meetings with various people, English language meetings. And he says he does get some strange looks from people.
Good to know that Harry's legacy continues.
Yes.
So, this is where we get to what we're doing next month.
Yeah.
And I'm very intrigued because I have no idea if we're starting a new Doctor cycle or if we're continuing to engage with the randomizer one more time or what you have in store for us. So.
Okay. So, I felt that it's about time to have the Doctor heart and centre of a book because, it's been a little while since we had the Doctor. So, I thought, yeah, let's do that. And let's also go for a Doctor that I haven't picked before, or at least not for a book that we've ended up reading, and let's go as well. And in fact, let's not have one Doctor. Let's have 2 Doctors. Let's do Heart of TARDIS by Dave Stone.
Oh, huh. Okay.
So this could be a prelude to a cycle so that we could still do a 2nd and 4th.
Okay. I like that idea because you don't want to pick between the 2 of them.
No. So.
And I haven't read this one, and from what I've heard, it's fairly well balanced between the 2 too.
Yeah.
So it's not like a either or, so it's a good place for it, I think.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
As we head back into a new Doctor cycle.
Yeah, and also just having seen 2 Doctors on telly.
Let's see it again.
Yes. So yeah, here we go.
Excellent. And Dave Stone, an interesting author. I'm thinking back to some stories I've heard about him and previous attempts to attend Galley.
Because we've not actually read any Dave Stone, have we? Or at least not. We haven't read any novels by him.
Yeah, a short story here or there, but not a novel. So.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Not what you were expecting.
Not what I was expecting, but excited nonetheless. And I just found it on the shelf, so I'm pulling it down now.
Cool.
So,
Good. But also, I kind of thought it would be a fun one to go for, just from the fact that you've got 2 Doctors and stuff.
It's a good time or place to do it, too. Yeah, I don't know how it would really fit into the Doctor cycle otherwise, so.
Yeah, so. And also, it's set in America, isn't it? At least part of it.
Oh, is it?
Yes. Yeah, I believe.
Okay. I'm looking at the, in the American Midwestern town of Litchburg, something is afoot. Its citizens are being killed in inexpressibly horrible and brutal ways. And the police don't have a clue who's responsible. The only suspects are a mysterious and sinister stranger who calls himself the Doctor, and his young companions Jamie and Victoria. Meanwhile, the Fourth Doctor and Romana have been summoned by the Gallifreyan High Council.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Should be fun. So we'll have it as a prelude to a cycle.
Excellent.
But basically, we can do a second Doctor pick, we can do a fourth Doctor pick. So
Yeah, and I like both those Doctors, so
Yeah.
having an extra book with them would be cool.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Hopefully. All right.
We haven't done a Romana book, have we? Either. No.
I don't think so.
No, she's popped up in Goth Opera. I think it's the Maritam version.
Oh, first Romana. Huh.
Yeah, I haven't read it. So, yeah.
Exciting. Cool. All right. Heart of TARDIS by Dave Stone for March.
Yes. So,
Well, until next month, this has been Matt in Minnesota.
Chris in South London. Happy reading.
Thank you for listening to the all-new adventures of the Doctor Who Book Club podcast. Special thanks to George C. Music for use of their song, Doctor Who Theme, Swing Jazz Version. You can follow us on Twitter at ANDWBC Podcast and like us on Facebook. You can support the show by leaving us a rating and review on iTunes. You can contact the show by emailing your thoughts to andwbcpodcast@gmail.com. And until next month, happy reading.
When we were down for my niece's wedding in Devon, Cornwall, we went to Jamaica Inn, which was a real-life place, but Daphne du Maurier wrote a book about it, which was done to film, etc., etc. So there's a little Daphne du Maurier museum there, and they've got a bookshop, and they had various books with Daphne du Maurier, so the kind of things that you'd expect, so Rebecca, The Birds, etc. And also a book called Rule Britannia, which she wrote in the 70s, and it was about Britain leaving the European community area by a referendum due to kind of populism and xenophobia, and them then having to enter a pact with America, but then being very much a junior partner. And Laura's like, oh my god. She just felt, so she's bought it, kind of going, how did Daphne du Maurier predict?
Very prescient.
Yeah,
Wow.
very prescient. Yeah.
Huh.
It was the last book that Daphne du Maurier wrote. I don't think it's ever been adapted into TV or anything, but it's about Cornish rebels trying to drive out American invaders.
Wow.
So
Well, hopefully that doesn't come to pass.
yeah, well, hopefully not. Right,
All
excellent.
right. Well, talk to you later. And
Yes.
hopefully things will have settled down in both of our countries.
Oh, I don't think there's any danger of that.
The turbulence continues.
Yes, yeah. Well, I think the turbulence is going to only increase until the end of the year.
Yeah, something tells me 2020 is going to be one of those years.
Yeah, I think so.
Cue Murray Gold music.
Yes, indeed. At least Years and Years didn't predict Australia being on fire. If it did, then I'd be like, oh god, it's predicted everything. It's all coming true. Or at least if there was a reference to it, I'd forgotten about it. Okay, right. Well,
Until next month, I shall start reading Dave Stone.
Yes. Well, I'm told that it's one of his better ones.